Talk about young shakes. Chicago 2 represent. Just change. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gon' first round. For my city. Dog, I ain't never.
Hello, this is Lacy L Jr. of Rice Fame Group. Welcome you to Chat with HBCU Champions, Season 2, Episode 14, featuring head coach Kenneth Giles from Norfolk State University, whose men's track and field team won the 2023 MEAC Outdoor Championship. Congratulations and welcome to the show, Coach.
All right. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, yes, sir, most definitely. Please tell us about yourself, including about your coaching experience.
Okay, well, I'm a native of Hampton, Virginia. I'm married with 2 kids. Both of my kids are graduates from Virginia Union University. And then, my wife, Lucretia. And I've been fortunate to coach at Norfolk State for 23 years. We've had a lot of success here, both in the classroom and on the track. So we brought some good young men and young ladies into the program.
Okay. How many championships is this for you?
I don't know. I leave that up to you guys to keep track of them, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I know we had you on last year.
Yeah, I mean one of my colleagues texted me something the other day, and I guess it's in the 30 range. It's in the 30s, but I don't know exactly how many.
Okay.
I guess that's a good project for our communications department, our sports communications department, to look up for me.
Yeah, now that is a question that you should get quite a bit from people. So that is one that you might need to memorize at some point.
Yeah.
Well, please tell us about your team. Who were your key athletes, and what were some of their accomplishments this year?
Well, I tell you, at this past outdoor championship, the stars on our team really showed up. We were led by that high-powered distance crew of ours, and I was able to bring in Ernest Barrett, who was formerly at North Carolina A&T, to assist in making that distance crew more powerful than what it already is. And I tell you, they led us to this championship, along with Kai Cole, Anthony Franklin scored valuable points, and then we had Isaac Haywood in the triple jump. He scored valuable points. He also made it to the regionals, but we did a great job on the track. We won the 100, we won the 200, we won the 800, we won the 1500, we won the steeplechase, we won the 5,000 and the 10,000. And anytime you can do well on the track, it's difficult to beat a good team.
Right. Okay. So, about how many athletes do you have on the men's side?
Well, we have about I think this past season we carried right around 27. Yeah, it was right around the 27 range.
Okay.
And I tell you, everyone they really did a good job. Everyone really came out and gave it their all. We had a young man, we call him Rabbit, but he did he did a good job for us. A football player, we put him in the decathlon, and he got 3rd place in the decathlon. And I tell you, one of the best moments is when you see a student athlete with that medal, and he said that's his first MEAC medal, and you could tell he cherished that moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
he really did a good job for us.
Okay. All right. So, tell us a bit about your conference and the competition.
Well, I tell you, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, they call it the MEAC. It's comprised of 8 elite institutions, and I tell you, it's a very difficult track and field conference. Um, you know, um, we've we've kind of toned down a little bit from the 13 that we had in the past, but we still have 8 elite institutions, and I think every one of them is just as competitive as we are.
So, now about your other competition throughout the year, what were some of the big meets in which your team ran?
Well, I tell you, we go to some competitive meets throughout the season. University of Virginia, they host a really great meet, and we go there to get viable competition against the Atlantic Coast Conference. Against some of the best teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And then we went to Duke University, and they also, compete in the ACC, and we get viable competition against them. So, we look forward to going to the ACC hosted meets, and we also this coming season. We didn't go this year, but this coming season, 23-24, we'll be going back to Penn State to test our waters in the Big Ten. So, we like to compete against the Power Fives, but we also do not forget where we came from, because we went to New York this year to compete in the HBCU Classic. So that was a pretty good experience for our student athletes, and we also hosted a meet at the Virginia Beach Sports Center, which was a prelude to the NCAA Division II Nationals, and we called it the pre-national meet. So we also give our fans a chance to see, Division I track at its finest.
Hmm. Okay. So you mentioned Power Five, but in track and field, I guess there's really no distinction between what would normally be Power Five in football and those that will be FCS in football. So all of you guys, your guys have to, when you go to nationals and regionals and places like that, you have to go up against the big schools. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And just like I said before, we compete against teams in the ACC, the Big Ten, the Southeastern Conference. We compete against them all year round. We just don't compete against them come time for our conference championship. We compete against them at the preliminary rounds of the NCAA championships, and then when we go to the final round, we compete against them also. So it's nothing new for us. It's nothing new for us to compete against them. We get valuable competition when we compete against the best, because at our program at Norfolk State, we're one of the best, and we want to compete against the best.
So tell us a bit about that HBCU Classic.
Well, the HBCU Classic, it was held at the Armory in New York, and it was a pretty good meet. It was a pretty good meet. Some of the top HBCUs were there, and now I was on the disabled list at that time, so I wasn't able to attend. So I had foot surgery, so my doctor didn't want me to travel. So I wasn't able to attend that particular meet, but the team went there, and then they did a great job.
Okay.
And I tell you, when you have a competitive schedule, like the one that we have is a major recruiting tool for us because, you know, the transfers, the high school student athletes, the junior college student athletes, the international athletes, they want to know that you're competing against the best. And one thing that we tell them, you know, we travel first class. You know, we stay in the same comfort as home. I tell them, you know, when we travel in the hotel, I want to stay in the same comfort as home now. So we travel first class and stay first class, and we compete against first class competition.
Okay. So that at that HBCU Classic, was that also including D2 institutions, maybe NAIA institutions, or was it primarily the D1?
Well, with Division II institutions also, Division I, Division II, you know, you know, at HBCU is more than just Division I schools. You know, you got some great Division II, NAIA and everything. So, you know, you know, if you're a historical black college or university, you know, you was able to attend.
Okay. And around when was that?
It was the second week of January.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was the second weekend of January. It was an indoor meet,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a pretty good meet from what my staff tell me. It was, we're going back again. We've committed to go back again in 2024, so it had to been pretty decent for us to go back again. It was ran very well, administratively and everything.
Okay. Okay. So is that was that the first year, or has that been happening previous years?
Well, they've had it in the past. They've had it in the past, but it was the first year that we've attended since I've been in Norfolk State.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. And so how did things go for your squad during that meeting?
Oh no, we did well. You know, we did well. I mean, that meet was a prelude to an indoor championship for us, and then we used indoor to get ready for the outdoor season, and we were and that was another prelude for us to win the outdoor championship. So we did well. We did what was expected.
Okay. So you were the indoor and the outdoor men's champions for the MEAC.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right. All right. And so let's shift to the to the indoor real quick. How did the season go in the end for your team during the indoor season?
Well, well. I mean, you know, anytime, you know, winning championships are not easy. You know, they're not easy at all because there's a lot of factors that play into, you know, whether or not you win that championship. So you can't take anything for granted. You got to establish the right culture around the student athletes. They got to have the right frame of mind. Their mental health has to be stable and everything. And that's something that we don't take for granted. And we did well. We really did well. We did exactly what we were supposed to do, and we came out with a championship.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you know, one thing that I always tell our student athletes, I don't want them to do anything special at the championship. Don't do nothing special because if you look for special performances, you're gonna be disappointed. Go there and do what you were trained to do. If you go there and do what you're trained to do, then everything else will take care of itself.
Right.
And that's what we've done.
Good. All right. So let's shift back to the outdoor. We know that you went to regionals. Tell us about your postseason for outdoor.
Well, you know, regionals was at my alma mater, University of North Florida in Jacksonville, and it was a great experience for the student athletes. You know, they went there, they competed against the best, and they didn't let the green and gold fans down. You know, Kai Cole He ran a personal best time, win legal time in the 200. And anytime your student athletes go out there and run their personal best times, you can't expect nothing else. Isaac Haywood, he had been banged up all year with knee problems, and our coaching staff managed him very well. Well enough for him to make it to nationals, and he performed in the triple jump, and he did well. So I can't complain. Just to the East region is the biggest of the two regions, and it stretches from Maine all the way to, I want to say it goes all the way to Michigan, and past from Maine to Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So it stretches a long way. And it's a very competitive region. And to be amongst the top 48 in your particular event in the NCAA in your region, it's an outstanding achievement.
Okay. So there's two regions, the East region and the West region now. There's no
That
more.
is correct. Yes.
Okay. And so with that, how many athletes advance to nationals?
Okay, and that's a good question. That's a real good question. What they do is they take the top 48, go to regionals, and then they take the top 12 in your individual event to the national championships. Okay, and then of course the relay, and they take the top 12 relays also to go to the national championships.
Okay.
And it's really, you really want to call it the final round, because when you go to the East regionals, that's the preliminary rounds of the national championships.
Mm-hmm.
The final round is the semifinals and the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So the preliminary rounds and the quarterfinals were held in Jacksonville, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and then the semifinals and the finals were held in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yes.
So excuse me. So it seems that it's been like a flip between Eugene and Austin the last few years. So did Coach Floriel going to Texas have a lot to do with them being able to host that?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They got some nice facilities at University of Texas. I believe they got a currency mint there, man, because their facilities are really nice. But they got the same track surface that we have at Norfolk. We've had our surface a little over a year. And once Bynum Sports Surfacing completed our track, they went to Austin, the University of Texas, and did their track. So we have the same surface that they have in Austin, and the facilities are great. And then Eugene speaks for itself. That's the capital of track and field. That speaks for itself right there.
Okay. So I know a few years ago, Mondo was a thing that everyone wanted to run on and whatnot. Is that, primarily about the same type of surface, or is there a bit difference between the surfaces?
Well, I think it's just what your preference is. My preference is the Bynum Sports Surfacing. I think it's the same thing that they have in Eugene. It's the same thing that they have in Austin, and it's the same thing that we have they had in North Florida. It's the same thing that we have at Norfolk State. So it's the premier surface in the country. Um, and I and not to take away anything from Mondo, because Mondo is a fast surface. It really is a fast surface. It's a racing surface. And I think the difference between the two is that you can train on the vinyl sports surface and eliminate a lot of injuries. Where on a Mondo surface, you're gonna get a lot of you're probably gonna be exposed to a lot of lower extremity injuries on that surface because it's a racing surface. I mean, it's a fast surface.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then when you look at, like I said, when you look at who has the vinyl sports surface in University of Texas, University of Oregon, then University of North Florida, Norfolk State, so hey, it's the premier surface.
Okay. Yeah, because it's interesting that you have mentioned that, and you have mentioned the issues with possible injuries and things during training. Because a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago, I was at a track and field camp and was speaking to a track and field legend who's a commentator. I won't say his name here because I don't have any releases or anything else to be able to do that. But he mentioned that he told us about the way that the Jamaicans train. And that was, of course, at the time that Usain Bolt was ruling the track world.
Right.
And he mentioned that they don't hit the track until competition time. That they usually train in the sand and on much softer surfaces. And I guess that's why you didn't hear that much around that time, especially around that time, about a lot of injuries to the Jamaican athletes.
Well, I will say this. It's just there's a personal preference on how a particular coach want to train their athletes. I don't know if one way is better than the other. When you look at the success that we've had in the U.S., it's hard to argue against what we do. you know, and so I just think that's just a personal preference, and once the World Championships and Olympics come up, and the NCAA championship, the cream always rises to the top anyway.
Okay, all right. Now, did you receive any coaching honors this year?
Well, I was nominated for. I received MEAC. I was MEAC Coach of the Year, cross country, indoor and outdoor. Um, I was nominated for the East Region Coach of the Year by the United States Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association, which is our governing body. So, but really, we as head coaches, we get all the glitter and gold when we win, but a lot of that, a lot of what we do is basically based on how we manage our staff and assistant coaches behind the scenes. They're the ones that's really out there. Not saying that we don't or we do not, but they're the ones that's out there grinding and getting it in. When we're in budget meetings or we're doing we're talking to alumni and everything. The assistant coaches, they're out there getting it in. And I mean, and that happens all over the country, especially in the major programs. And I consider our program one of the major programs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, since you brought them up, can you tell us more about your coaching staff?
Yes, okay, yeah. As I said before, when early in the broadcast, Ernest Barrett. He came to us after an outstanding stint at North Carolina A&T. He was there doing the resurgence of that program that allowed them to finish runner-up at the indoor championships, and then finished third outside, and the ladies finished fourth, and a lot of other outstanding honors that they've had. We brought him in as the associate women's head coach, and then we have Jerry Price. Jerry Price has been with me for 13 years. He's coached a lot of my hurdlers and sprinters to the NCAA championships, and the jumpers also to the NCAA preliminary round of the regional championships. And then we have Ashante Matthews. Ashante Matthews, she was a multi-event athlete for us. She led our 2012 team to the MEAC Championship when she was competing, and she just came onto the staff, and she had some mental health background also. So when our student athletes need that mental health break, we have someone right in house that can come and give them professional advice. So not only does she excel in giving instruction on the track and in the field, she's also as a licensed mental health professional.
Okay. All right.
And then we also have a pole vault coach, Brian Treeler. He's been with me for quite some time. And we also have a throws coach, and Deja Burrell. Deja Burrell, she just graduated 2 years ago, and she wanted to get into coaching. She has a great background in strength and conditioning, she's our throws coach. She coached our student athlete Leslie Young to back-to-back MVPs during the MEAC outdoor championships. Leslie freshman year and her sophomore year this past season. So she's done an outstanding job for us in a short period of time, because Deja just graduated. She just graduated in 2021. So she's done a great job.
Okay. So you have a naturally born coach right there.
Yeah. We like to we like to train them the right way.
Okay. And I'm gonna go off script briefly. I usually don't ask this until later, but you mentioned your coach and her background dealing with mental health. Can you go more in depth about how you and your staff deal with the mental health, not only of your athletes, but also of your coaching staff?
Well, and that's really a good point, because we got to be mindful of and we got to be conscious of our mental health amongst not only the student athletes but the coaches. And what we do, we follow the chain of command in our department protocol when it's dealing with mental health. If they need a mental health break, we allow that. We allow that. We'll send them to the appropriate people within the department, and then the department will come back and give us feedback on what we should and shouldn't do. And we follow that in this program to the letter.
Okay. So is the department within athletics, or is it a department that's within the institution itself?
Well, it's two of them. It's a department within athletics, and then we have someone outside of athletics within the institution that handles it also.
Okay. Well, that's great, because a lot of institutions do not have that, and unfortunately, they've had to deal with the repercussion of not having something set up for the athletes, and I think that's something that, for the most part, some of the things that we've heard about could be avoided. There of course, there's always going to be those things which, no matter what you do, you just can't save everybody, unfortunately.
Well, that's true. That's true. You know, we're not in a perfect world, and things are gonna happen. And some people handle it. They can handle it. Their own way, but some people may need a little assistance, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, right. Okay. All right. Well, getting back on script. Uh,
Hey, but look, this the best thing about it. You can go off script, and then you can come back and get back on script.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, what do you look for in prospects, and can you tell us about some of your current signees?
Well, I tell you one thing. We look, one of the things we look for. I want to make sure you can run. No. I want to make sure you can run and you can run fast, you can throw far, you can jump high. No, but I tell you what we look for. We really look for a well-rounded student athlete. I look for someone that's coordinated, because coordination plays a major part in your success. Of course, we want someone that can meet the academic standards of the institution and the NCAA. And we want someone that can not only compete in our conference, but that can compete at the regional level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we look for in our program. We're one of the top mid-major programs in the country, and I know that. And so we have high standards. Some of the standards that some other institutions may have, our standards may be a little higher than theirs, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've been able to achieve a lot of greatness at Norfolk State, and we're looking to obtain more greatness in the upcoming months and years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I talked to Dr. Harrison Wilson some years ago, and I know that he was very instrumental in making Norfolk State what it is today as an institution. And I know from his pedigree, which of course includes his grandson, who plays for the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, that their family is a family of high achievers, and I could see his stamp on the institution, that he would have that standard for the institution, and that's part of the legacy that he left there at Norfolk State.
And I tell you this, you can never have this success, and I don't care what institution it is. You can never have the success at this level without the support of the institution, which starts at the highest level, and that's the president. Like you said, Harrison B. Wilson. And right now, we have Dr. J. She's done an outstanding job. She supports athletics. She supports track and field. And, track and field is a sport where you have to be a track and field purist to come out there and watch a meet in the heat, in different types of weather. You got to be a purist, and she's out there. Then we have our athletic director, Melody Webb. She's a former high jumper, so she knows, she has that keen eye what to look for in a track and field student athlete. So we get support, and I'm glad you brought up Harrison Wilson's name, because it starts up top with them. And right now, our Harrison B. Wilson is Dr. J, and then our Dick Price is Melody Webb. And they do a great job. I tell you, they do a great job, and we couldn't have the success we've had without them.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear, and knowing that the legacy continues, there's nothing greater for an institution than being able to carry on, the high standards that were set in the past.
That's correct.
And let me go back to to something real quick. You mentioned the support that you get from the administration and from the department head. What about your fans?
Well, you know, Norfolk. I tell you this, Norfolk has a real big fan base for track and field. We don't we go outside the area to recruit. I'm not gonna say we don't because we recruit globally, and we recruit globally here in Norfolk State. We recruit just like Stanford does, just like Michigan does, just like Duke, North Carolina, Florida. We try to find the best in the world. But we got a very knowledgeable track and field fan base. And I guess it started before I even thought about coming to Norfolk with Dick Price. When they was winning national championships at the Division II level with Steve Riddick and everything, and I tell you, they've done a great job. Our fans have done a great job. They support us to the end, and when we go to pin relays, they're always there. When we at the MEAC Championships, they're there. So even some of them show up at the preliminary round. Some of them show up at the final round. So we got fans all over. And when you got a true fan when they see you, and the first thing they say is "Behold." So that's a true fan there. That's not a fly-by-night fan right there. That's a true Spartan. But the first thing they say is "Behold."
Okay, all right. Oh wow, that's great. Well, tell us a bit about the institution itself. What are some of the major programs, and what majors do your athletes seem to take most?
We have a lot of good disciplines here at Norfolk State. Kinesiology, kinesiotherapy is a very popular major. It seems like the student athletes want to know a lot about the body. We got a great business program, which is an accredited program, and the accreditation matters when you talk about going to professional school. We 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 um we have a good a good engineering program. That focuses on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. We've come a long way in that. Then we got a cybersecurity program that also offers a master's degree in cybersecurity. And then we have the physical education majors. Then we have the sociology majors. If you're undecided and you don't know exactly where you can do interdisciplinary studies with an emphasis in a certain area. We have an outstanding nursing program which attracts international students from all over the world. A lot of our student athletes from Africa, they want to be nursing majors, so they come to Norfolk State to major in nursing. It's a very disciplined major. You have to be very disciplined in order to major in that. I don't think one is more challenging than the other. Then you want to go into the biology area. We offer biology, chemistry, and everything. We do have a pre-med major, so I think we have a variety of majors to fit any student need here in Norfolk State.
All right, wow, that's great. That's great. And especially as you said, Norfolk went from D2 to D1. So that showed growth, and I know it had to be a tremendous growth in enrollment in order to do that. So now we're getting close to the end of this interview, and so we're going to ask you a little bit more about yourself here. Who are the biggest influences in your career?
Well, I would say, you know, I definitely would say, my parents influenced me a lot. Um, you know, um, you know, I, when I was, I come from a family of six sisters and three brothers. We're very family oriented. You know, when I was going to school, my sister, my sisters used to get in the car, drive my mother. Every meet that I ran in, they were there to watch me compete. And I was, I would say my family more so than like right now, my wife, she supports me a lot. I don't know what it is to be a track coach wife or anything like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. But she knows and she supports me a lot. The kids are always there. My kids are always there for me. So I would say my inner group is the support system, and I think that's what allows us to have the success that we have in the classroom and on the track. Now, when you're talking about from a professional standpoint, of course, you look at the former AD here, Marty Miller. He took a chance. He took a chance at hiring me, and I appreciate that. Um, you look at you look at Melody Webb. We have a great relationship, and I tell you, like I say, they support us to the end, and so I would those are some of the ones that I can say right off the bat, and I also I'll mention one of my friends who convinced me to get involved in coaching was Harry Freeman. He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame at St. Augustine's University, and he was the one who convinced me to to get into venture off into track and field. So I would say right off the bat, those are the ones that had the influence on me.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, this is the time that we give you, the coach, a chance to give shout outs to anyone who you want to recognize.
Well, I just named a good crew of them. When you said some of the influences in my life, and they're the ones that I have to shout out. And I just want to shout out our coaching staff here, and our fans, because without their support and without of course the administration support, we couldn't have the success we've had. And we I teach the student athletes and the coaches to win humbly and gracefully, and that's what we do. We expect to win, so when we get in the end zone, we know how to act when we get in the end zone.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like old Emmitt Smith. I think he was the one that said when you get to the end zone, act like you've been there before.
Yeah. So when we get on the platform, we know how to act. We done been there before. That's the expectation here at Norfolk.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank you, Coach Giles, for participating in this chat. And we hope that you and your program continue to succeed, and we will follow your development. And we want to thank you, the viewers and audience, for watching this episode of Chat with HBCU Champions. Please visit ricefamegroup.org for more information on replays and more HBCU information. Please have a blessed week.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yeah. talk about young shakes. Chicago 2 represent. Jesse James. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her naming like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting, ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.